For CuyEast Chamber of Commerce, I'm Wayne Lawrence. I'm here today with Chuck Herman, owner of Specialty Fitness Equipment, and we're going to find out if owning a business is a blessing or curse. Mr. Herman, Chuck, how you been, man?
Wayne, I'm doing well.
Good.
No complaints.
I think a lot of our listeners are going to learn quite a bit today from you. You've got a little bit of history in business, so
Just a little bit, but hey, if we get a little something out there that somebody picks up on, it's fantastic.
Well, and as a side note, you may recall that you and I actually met through the Chamber of Commerce, and then it went to the point where you and I have done business together, too.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Well, let's get right into it. Okay. So, Chuck, you own Specialty Fitness Equipment, huh? Tell me a little bit about, like, how long have you had the company? When did you start?
So the company was founded in middle of 2012, didn't really get going until 2013 because of some side things that had to be taken care of on the back end where, you get a business started and, maybe a company you worked for in the past, wants to make it a little complicated.
Oh, didn't like the fact that you started your own company.
Yeah.
So did you have a history in this fitness equipment a little bit? Yeah.
Been in the business in total for 27 years,
okay.
Worked for somebody for 15, and then you get to a point where, I think I can do this better in my way.
Okay. So do you think that your background in the industry was very important to where you are today, or is that necessary if you have your own business?
I don't think it's necessary,
Yeah, okay.
but it helps.
All right.
I certainly have the background with my degrees and my experience in the business and for the love of fitness and health and wellness. But certainly, if you have an entrepreneurial spirit and you're wired a way that, as you are,
Oh, yeah.
I like to keep busy. I like to make things happen.
It's that bug that just gets you every time, no matter what. It just keeps coming at you.
Yep.
How many employees do you have?
We have 5 total employees.
Five employees. Okay.
So, and that's broken up, Specialty Fitness Equipment, the sales operation. And then we have White Glove Installs, which does our deliveries and installations. But,
Are those full-time or part-time or combination?
Full-time.
Okay.
Full-time.
And what about Tova and Jerry? You don't count them as employees?
They're friends of the business.
You are a dog lover like I am too.
I am.
And I see you put it right on your website, so that's fantastic. And then one other quick question, just to get familiar with you.
Sure.
What type of entity are you? A C corp, a LLC? What type of entity?
So we are an LLC.
Okay, good.
But, when you file taxes, I think we're S corp.
S corp. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You've been in business for quite some time. You have 5 employees. So, has it been a blessing or a curse?
Right to it, right?
Yeah.
Both. I mean, it's
Okay.
a blessing and a curse because you take on the risks, but you also take on the rewards. And certainly, blessing or curse, for instance, a blessing is that, hey, I can work as hard as I want or not, but the curse is if I don't work, I don't eat.
Yeah,
so to
exactly.
speak.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you've been doing it for quite a while. So was there a point after so many years that you felt like comfortable and things were kind of coming together for you, or do you go to work even today and go, oh boy, I hope it's better tomorrow? Yeah.
No, I think the blessing is that regardless of what every day, which is different every day, brings, I'm looking forward to it. There's days that you're like, wow, why am I doing this? Why am I the hitman for everything? But the blessing is that it's me. I can handle it. It's my business. It's my baby, so to speak. And, I'm going to do everything I can to keep baby happy. But at the same time, the
Right.
curse is it's stressful.
Yeah.
Unless, you see the gray hair and
Yeah, don't talk
popping
about
out.
gray hair to me. I've had it for 20 years now, I think. I certainly understand where you're coming from. Now, and you guys really get into everything from a corporation wellness program to consumer products. So you design, you install, you sell it, you come back and train people on it. So, tell me a little bit about that from an HR standpoint. So you have to have a lot of folks who really know what they're doing, right?
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that every capacity of what you're doing, from concept to completion, that's what we do. So we're, buying equipment, we're designing fitness facilities for corporate wellness, for multifamily, that's a lot of our core business. But heck, we did the city here of Warrensville Heights, their service department, their fire departments. We provide fitness equipment for many different applications. But you have delivery, installation. You got to make sure you're covered from a liability standpoint because, as you know, in business, some people might be unreasonable, and whether it's your fault or not.
Right.
And again, that's the the curse, but the blessing is you do everything you can to make it
To
right.
make it right. Yeah, exactly right. And because you did have so much business corporately in the corporate wellness program, well, there was that thing called the pandemic in which a lot of folks didn't go back to their offices. How did that impact your business?
It was scary right when
Yeah.
this all was going down, and nobody could predict what happened, but it was actually a blessing, and I'm going to use that as we
sure.
go.
That's what is blessing or curse,
but
right?
we had to pivot. Our business is mostly commercial based, and we certainly, just from the many years of doing the business, we work with a lot of consumers. But when the pandemic hit, that commercial business paused. It paused, as you know, with gyms closing down or had to shut down. In our markets with corporations and multifamily, everybody had a social distance. So fitness in that capacity for a couple months was off. But as soon as this pandemic and people were told you got to stay home, the home consumer business just exploded. And fortunately, I'm a very proactive business owner and kind of saw that, well, you know what, maybe we should make some big orders and make a big investment to bring in things that are staples that people would want to get. I think, as I was reading the tea leaves, we could see that people had some tendencies to buying certain things. So I just bought, and, got whatever I could. And thankfully, it worked out where we had a slow drip of inventory always coming in. So I was able to help everyone that came to us.
It's interesting you had mentioned the getting bigger orders, because I think Small Business or Business Insider magazine talked about the small business challenge of 2023, of one of which was supply chain issues. So, have you been impacted by that? I mean, whether from getting new equipment or even being able to get replacement parts for those equipment that you have?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still impacted by
Okay,
it tremendously. The supply chain, and there's things that are made here in the USA that we work with, but a lot of stuff comes from overseas, from Taiwan, from China, and definitely the shipping took time because China was closed down, and same with Taiwan. And when you shut off your manufacturing, it affects that supply chain, and it definitely was a lot of work to be in contact with your suppliers and with the manufacturers to time everything. Because if they would tell you, hey, we're about 3 months out on a particular SKU that we work with, I had to make plans to find alternatives, and that was another thing, is finding alternative options that I had a trust and a confidence with that would be good for my customers, because I don't want to sell them just anything. I want to make sure that what we're providing them is still high quality, serviceable, and that I have the support from the manufacturer side so I can support them.
There's a lot of folks who are listening who are just thinking about either owning their own business, or maybe they've been in business. And, at times you and I have talked about how it feels like an island, at times, especially if you're an entrepreneur. You may share it with your friends, your family, and other business owners, but you feel like you're on an island. What keeps you up at night, though, still?
You're, as a business owner, you're in charge of some families, and I'm always concerned that, hey, I want to make sure that we have business coming in, so they're busy, so everybody's busy, because if you're not busy, you're worried that, wow, I'm going to have to, cut down employees or things like that. I'll be honest, I've over the past few years have slept a lot better, because there's only things you can control.
Sure.
And you have to, what I've learned is deal with what you have today, and I can't really look too far in the future, and whatever's in the past is the past. Yeah. And it kind of keeps me centered, so to speak, where I don't stress over those things that would keep a lot of people up. I mean, listen, there's, as you know, Wayne, there's things that can keep you up, and if you don't deal with them, they can really make you sick.
They can. I think, and I think the longer you've been in business, the more familiar with on how to deal with those challenges, because you've been there, done that before, or at least you can find a resource to help you. But you had mentioned something that I know I'm going through right now, which is, finding that succession plan, in a sense. Those people who can really help you get away from the day-to-day activities, and you can focus on bigger projects and things. How are you going about hiring and retaining your talent at this point?
So that's a great question. We just actually brought on a new employee who, again, we consider them a teammate. The goal is to clone them,
Yeah,
so
right.
they can do as much
Yeah.
as, I have found that working with the new person in their office, not in my office, actually being hands-on with the training and having my other person, again, contributing, following how I do things has been very successful. And, being able to come here today, I know that everything at the office is ticking, and if they have problems, certainly they'll call me, but
Yeah.
I know they're doing it in the manner that I would handle things, with integrity. I'm trusting that they're going to do it right. Sure, mistakes happen. I make mistakes still in this far of the game, but we can make it right. And
Okay.
it's something we don't want to worry about.
So do you have your 911 emergency text code for your employees? I know we have I'm pretty busy right now. Text me whatever you like, but
Right.
if it's an emergency and I need to drop everything, here's what you need to text me. Because we take care of business all the time, either during the day,
Always.
at night, weekend. It becomes, it's a part of our life, actually, integral part of our lives.
And
Yeah.
that's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, it
Because
is.
you know what?
It is,
I'll
yeah.
pick up the phone at 6:30 in the morning because
Yeah.
maybe a firefighter is still on shift,
Sure.
or somebody's ringing at 9 o'clock at night. The key that I teach my employees and my team is that it's about communication.
Right.
And again, whether it's good or bad, you communicate. And as you know, today's world, everybody wants answers right now.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things do you forecast every year? Do you try to get at the beginning of the year, try to forecast revenue, expenses, or you have enough of a history that you're pretty comfortable with what you're going to have?
We kind of will game plan.
Okay.
But in our business, consumer business is kind of more forecastable.
Yeah.
But the commercial business, we could be hugely busy in December.
Okay.
And then, August is real slow. But
Okay.
it could change the next year.
So with the commercial business, the Fed has increased its rates 10 times in a row since March of 2022.
Right.
Is that having any impact on your business at all?
The impact I see is more with our clients that do multifamily development
Okay.
in apartments and buildings. Their rates are going up. So they're trying to get better deals, and the deals that they're working on are taking more time. Certainly, that a lot of my clients who I always pick their brains, and I'm fascinated by it. So I
Yeah.
learn a lot, with my business clients, and you got to know your clients.
Yeah.
But it hasn't affected my business, so to speak, only in a capacity of, when we maybe offer a leasing or financing, those rates are higher.
Right.
And then they have to weigh whether are we going to pay for this equipment, with cash, or are we going to, do the leasing part of it? Because there's a time where it makes perfect sense. But now, you're trying to either make money with buying right, or you're trying to save money by getting the best rates to finance something.
Right, exactly. I know in my business, we used to see a lot of credit card purchases, for moving services, and we're just seeing a lot of people go to checks at this point, I think.
Really?
But I guess if you're moving and you have to pay for it and you have no other options, you might have to put on a credit card. But our clients are really starting to be very, very in tune with the finance rates and what it's going to cost them long term after buying the house.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I do get a lot of people that'd rather have the discount, a little bit more of a discount
Yeah.
on a purchase versus, well, if I don't have to use my credit card and I
Right.
get more off the, again, I'll work with the client, whatever they think is best for their situation. Obviously, we're both in business to stay in
Right,
business.
exactly,
At the same
yeah.
time, you want to be fair with them and you want to guide them, and that's I think that's part of our success is that we're transparent and we want to make sure they're making good, sound, informed decisions.
Okay. Do you own your building?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we did lease
Yeah.
for when we first got started out. I don't know if it was on the radar to purchase a building.
Yeah.
But again, I have a lot of good friends that are mentors that you talk with them. And again, this is I think we purchased our building in 2017. Weighing do we lease? Do we buy? Can we afford it? Can we balance it all out? And we figured it all out through good advice. We purchased our building, and looking back now, 6 years, best decision ever for us because we are an owner-occupied building, so we have a couple tenants. We're a tenant. Specialty Fitness Equipment is a tenant to the building, and there's a lot of obviously back-end tax advantages and things that are legal to do that help you with the bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. I think a lot of small businesses struggle with that decision. I was talking to some newer businesses, and they're trying to decide, do they leave home and go into a work center, or do they stay at home? And then companies like mine, which have, we've leased for years, and I think about we could have bought a building or two and paid them off since then. So, it's interesting to find out, who's done that and like what motivated them to do so. So you're saying you had others who kind of advised you accordingly that this, based on your cash flow, based on your ability to repay debt, that this might make sense for you.
Exactly. And you know what I suggest to anyone? I mean, I'm still always asking people that are smarter than me, hey, how did you handle this? As long as they're willing to, share that information. And I'm fortunate I have really good friends that are very successful that, again, are smarter than me and, will give you that advice. And I love passing the knowledge on to whoever, might ask. And, it's not a secret, it's just, you got to hear it.
Yeah.
When you hear it in application, it's like, oh, wow, I guess that makes sense. Right. But, the fact with leasing, and thinking about, well, there's nothing to show for it afterwards. Yeah, you can write off your rent and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I have an asset that, maybe Specialty Fitness gets bought or I pass it down or whatever. I still have a building that is an asset, and it still is providing, a couple tenants, and it's just another way to diversify.
Okay. So you probably talk to other small business owners.
Sure.
You certainly have those who are getting into business, maybe ask you for advice. As we get this more and more gray hair, they tend to approach us more often.
Is that what it is?
What advice would you give a person either thinking about starting a business or has just started their business? I mean, what are some of the watch outs?
You need to read the fine print. You need to take it slow. It's very easy to get caught up in being a manager and you're working in the business versus always working on your business. There was a book that I read back in college in my graduate school. It was called The E-Myth Revisited. It's about making things turnkey, so to speak. You know how McDonald's is a process that's works perfectly. So working in your business and trying to work on your business, there's the entrepreneur, there's the manager, there's the technician. You can't be all that. You can't be the chef, the waiter, the bottle washer. Sometimes you are. When you're starting the business, you are. But you have to find a way to be able to delegate and become the entrepreneur that grows the business and makes it efficient so that, that you're keeping the eye on the prize, so to speak. Starting a new business is scary. You take a lot of calculated risks. And my wife, who's my partner, and my wife, who's my wife, but my partner in the business as well, it's our baby. And we take care of our baby. We see it as a baby. And,
right.
That's how it goes.
Chuck, I've talked to so many people who truly believe you ought to be, to be an entrepreneur and successful in your business, you also have to be a great salesperson or marketer. What do you think about that?
Salesperson. You have the when you think of a salesperson, you think of a car salesman, and that's nothing what I am. I just know how to talk to people. I like to talk to people. I thrive in a networking situation. I think you don't have to be a great salesperson. You just need to be a good listener, and you need to be able to share your knowledge and your expertise, and you have to have confidence that going out there to be able to, tell people, hey, I want to earn your trust and your confidence to buy my products. You don't need to have any formal sales training because all those things that say, hey, I'm going to leave this table here and sign this contract. If you don't sign it, your it's not going to be any good. Yeah. My way is a very consultative approach. Okay. And I feel that people, when they're not pressured and they feel good about talking with you and that you have that knowledge, it should sell itself, so to speak, because yes, we're ultimately selling something. But I look at it as a standpoint that I'm providing an education, and that if they don't buy from me, it is what it is. Yeah. But at least I've given them the knowledge to take elsewhere if they decide they want to go buy somewhere else.
So outside the other 50 things you do within your own company, one of your roles is, of course, meeting with the clients and talking about those things. You don't have a sales person on staff, do you?
I mean, my guys they do everything.
So you're even making sure that they, from a training standpoint, know how to represent your company, and I think that's smart.
I mean, you gotta train people to believe in what your process is, and I believe that with the way we do things is transparent, it's upstanding, it's educational, and I think we go above and beyond to make sure that our clients are well informed before they make a decision. And certainly, everything is about price a lot of times, but sometimes you don't get what you pay for.
I was doing some research on just why businesses fail, and what's most interesting is a lot of people who may have left work during the pandemic or decided they just didn't want to go back. Felt that they were really good at something that they, did, and they started their own company based on it. Then they went out into the market and found out that they were good, but there were a lot more people who were better, and that was a real challenge. So, to that selling and marketing, it's all about, as you said, listening to customers, your customer, and being able to articulate who you are and what sets you apart from, the competition. And not everyone's comfortable with that. And, if they're not, that's okay, but they really need someone in their organization who is, because I think that can really become a barrier or a curse to a business if they're not comfortable networking, like we met.
Right.
5 years later, here we sit and are able to talk to each other, and we've done business together. And if they're not comfortable with doing that, that could really be a challenge for them.
And what else is unique, speaking of our partnership, our relationship, so to speak, is that you do meet great people, and I have no problem saying, hey, here's the guy to take care of you. And I know that once I pass a client off, because I can't help them, I want them to at least work with somebody that actually I know and I'm comfortable with, that can help them and will take care of them. Yeah. And I don't need anything other than knowing that the peace of mind that they're getting taken care of.
Yeah.
It's not always about got to get that last dollar. I'd rather just have the peace of mind so I can sleep good at night.
Yeah, exactly.
And that they got taken care of because I believe in the karma. People will remember that you took care of them, and you're not looking for something on the back end. It's just a matter of, hey, I took care of you, and then down the road when maybe someone else is looking for a new piece of fitness equipment, a treadmill or whatnot, they'll be like, hey, that Chuck Herman, he took care of me. He got me to the right guy. Or, hey, that Wayne Lawrence, he did us right and took care of us when we couldn't count on the other person.
Well, I think that's one of the values of a Chamber of Commerce, and why we're doing this at CuyEast. I mean, simply to bring people together, network, and learn, and have these tools. A person that's going to be on the podcast in the future is someone that I personally met not long ago at a recent event who just joined a chamber. So it's really interesting as you continue to build your network through a Chamber of Commerce. So
yeah, I have no regrets.
Good stuff.
Just another opportunity to meet good people.
Okay, so at the end of the day, it's both a blessing and a curse, right?
Clearly.
Depending on how you look at it and how you experienced it.
Yeah.
All right, good. Well, I thank you for coming on to the CuyEast Chamber of Commerce podcast, CuyEast. And hey, I'm glad we were able to meet each other. I think it's been like 5-6 years ago at a chamber event. And we've had several discussions. And I think that's one of the other things I would encourage listeners to do is find some folks you can give a call to, who can really understand what you're going through, if you're going through some challenges, or even just to celebrate successes when you have an opportunity. So
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's things you keep to yourself, but there's other things that there's no shame in asking the questions. I tell my kids this. Don't be afraid to ask. Advocate.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, buddy.
All right.
Appreciate it. Take care now.
You too,
we'll
Wayne.
See you.
Thank you.
This podcast was made possible with the support of our sponsors. Find more ways to grow at CuyEast.org.